just changing the bar, they decided that they wanted to do one more step, a federal overtake of education, and that's the No Child Left Behind waiver, which Commissioner Hanley signed us all up for. The NCLB penalties were to develop improvement plans, the wholesale replacement of staff, extending class time, and closing down schools after 6 years. That was the penalties for not 100% of the kids not being 100% professional, 100% of the districts. It was unrealistic. This whole Common Core is very frustrating to me because this was done without a single legislature across the entire United States being involved at all. This was the special trade organizations, the CCSSO and the NGA, they're Washington, D.C. trade organizations that worked with the U.S. Department of Education, and they left us, the representatives that are closest to the people, in the dark. Is this legal? Nathan McPherson, he's a constitutional attorney. He'll be getting into the legality, so I'm going to skip through a little bit of this. I'll talk about the standards. The standards, you're to focus on 21st century skills, not necessarily academic knowledge. Outcome-based education, round 2. The goal is workforce development and a managed economy. They were sold by more rigorous critical thinking. We'll drill down on what those words mean to them. Compare students across the state. So like I said, the marketing message was pretty darn good. They told us it's standards, not curriculum. But as we stated it earlier, that it does drive curriculum. There is no, these have not been internationally benchmarked anywhere. This is just a very, very expensive experiment. They've taken down a lot of the stuff that they were claiming. So learning the lingo, the rigor, critical thinking, you will find that there are millions, tens of millions of dollars in the state promoting Common Core. We're doing this almost, we're the resistance. We're just exposing the concerns of the Common Core. And you need to really pay attention to what the words rigor mean. Rigor is educational expectations that are academically, intellectually, and personally ambiguous or contentious and encourage students to question their assumptions. A lot of parents are very, very frustrated right now because they can't understand why the homework is so difficult, what is going on. It's because they're making it more ambiguous and contentious. So it's really hard on the parents. Rigor, what is rigor? Rigor is about what student feels, perceives, and does when there's no single correct answer. There are insufficient facts stated to reach a definite conclusion, or when asked about material that has never been taught. It provides superb behavioral science data that on likely future actions and prime students to be willing to act in the face of uncertainty. And the source there is when education became a weapon. Critical thinking, self-directed, self-disciplined, self-monitored, self-corrected thinking that entails effective communication and problem-solving abilities, a commitment to overcome egocentrism and sociocentrism. A critical thinker avoids prejudices, biases, distortions, and uncritically accepts social rules, taboos, self-interest, and vested interest. They're really looking for a workforce, an engine. This is very important person. This is Dr. James Milgram. He was on the validation committee of the math standards. He has a grandson up here, so he comes up and he has a passion up here in Alaska. So he'll be up hopefully again in May or June to speak because he has a vested interest. He would not validate the standards because he found so much concern with them. We passed out the missing things that are in the math standards, but here's just a few. Addition and subtraction proficiency may be delayed until 4th grade. Algebra pushed back to the 9th grade instead of the 8th grade. An experimental approach to geometry little trigonometry, no pre-calculus, no calculus. It will not prepare our children for STEM. How many of you have seen all the funny jokes on Facebook about math? Okay, it's actually pretty entertaining. If you want even more entertaining, go to Tom Lehrer, L-E-H-R-E-R. Tom Lehrer has the funniest videos, and they're just amazing to watch. Why parents are so confused with this fuzzy math. This pedagogy was known to fail in the past, and they brought it back. And it's very, very alarming to us because math is such a critical skill. The College Board. This is kind of important. David Coleman, and he's the president of the College Board. He's rewritten the ACT and SAT tests to align to the Common Core as of this May. And the College Board Vice President, Trevor Packer, said AP Calculus is in conflict with the Common Core. Jason Zimbo was one of the few people that helped write the math standards behind closed doors. And if you want to take calculus your freshman year in college, you will need to take more mathematics than in the Common Core. He has kids now, and he's frustrated with math curriculum. I posted an article on my Rep Rhino Facebook, so you guys can read that if you're interested. This person, Dr. Sandra Stotsky, she helped develop the Massachusetts English and Language Arts Standards, and Massachusetts was doing amazing. They were one of the top performing states year after year after year. They switched to the Common Core and they're tanking now. She was also on the validating committee. There were only about 27, 28 people on the validation committee. 5 of them refused to validate the standards. And there's all sorts of things they're not allowed to talk about. But Dr. Sandra Stotsky has some amazing English language arts standards that would be a great fallback if we choose to get rid of Common Core. And she's also a speaker that speaks for us as well. Some of the standards are too rigorous at the lower end, and too low at the higher end. And one example is with scaffolding at the 10th grade. That means with help at the 10th grade. It's kind of ridiculous, you know, that kids that would need help at that age. There was, way back in 2010, this was a joint statement of early education at the health and education professionals on the Common Core. This was issued by the Alliance for Childhood. And basically, these educators, pediatricians, psychologists, researchers, there was hundreds of them that said these are developmentally inappropriate. But these people just won't listen. And that's why there's such an increase of anxiety, depression. If you get online, I can't even watch a lot of the videos. There's lots of psychologists, clinicians, pediatricians testifying across this nation at state school boards and at local school boards, pleading with them because they've seen such an increase of emotional issues with these kids. So they're saying it is a contributing factor. So you just need to be aware of your children if they are having anxiety. Just learn to talk to them about that. Michael Cohen, remember Achieve? They're the ones that came up to Alaska and helped do the crosswalks and basically just lead everybody in the same tunnel, making the teachers believe that they actually had something to do with changing the standards, and you'll see that they didn't. Anyway, he is the president of Achieve. He says the full effect of Common Core will not be seen until an entire cohort of students from kindergarten through school graduation has been effectively exposed to the Common Core. That's a lot of money and a lot of time. And Dr. James Milgram, remember him from Stanford, that was part of the validating? He said after 4 years, there's irreparable damage. You can never recover that 4 years. And it really does a lot of damage to the child's ability to learn math. So it's really, really important to have alternatives. Good old Gates, you guys know Bill Gates, right? Microsoft guy. Okay, you'd think that this man, billions of dollars that he has, would have vetted this. But even he said, this was September 21st, 2013, in an interview at Harvard University. He said, it would be great if our education stuff worked, but we won't know that for a decade. And Alaska standards do mirror the Common Core. They are basically being used as an experiment with Microsoft right now and the Gates Foundation. Palin rejected Common Core completely, okay? We don't see eye to eye on a lot of things, but this is one issue we actually see eye to eye on. Then Achieve came in about 2009 after Parnell took over. We thought he would be pushed back. He keeps telling us over and over again, we're not doing Common Core. Well, here to tell you, we're doing Common Core. The National Center for Improvement, Brian Gong and Karen Hess came here to do these crosswalks, and CCSSO was heavily involved. Commissioner Hanley was heavily involved, and we're looking into his travel and everything way back from 2009, and it looks quite extensive. It was deeply involved. We're a window 3 state. That means we came in at the last opportunity. These crosswalks in Alaska were very expensive, but were very, very lightly attended. You'll see, if you look in the No Child Left Behind waiver, by the end, almost nobody was showing up because teachers were smart and they realized they were just rubber stamping these standards. So Commissioner Hanley, on the radio a week ago, he says all the time, we're not doing Common Core. For 2.5 years in my hearings, we're not doing Common Core, we're not doing Common Core, we're not doing Common Core. I've got emails, everything. However, what was he saying? What was he saying? This is the state, this is Parnell, deed, this is January 23rd, 2013. This is addressed to Patrick Rooney, U.S. Department of Education. Enclosed is a letter from the CCSSO, remember that, Commissioner Hanley's organization, that has analyzed the new Alaska English Language Arts and Mathematics standards in 2012 and found them to be nearly identical to the Common Core state standards. So there you go. Here he is working with the federal government, telling them, hey, Craig, behind the scenes. I really want Craig Fleener, stand up, do you mind? He's third in command in Governor Walker. Anyway, he's absolutely amazing. You guys, if you meet anybody, meet Craig Fleener. He could be our saving grace in helping bring down Common Core if that's what we want to do. Okay, so thank you. Thank you for coming. He's got a lot better relationship with Governor Walker than I do. I'm working on it though. Okay, so the CCSSO, what else was going on? So Commissioner Hanley, this is addressed to Commissioner Hanley from Scott Norton. Scott Norton is the director of the CCSSO. So here, this said the analysis showed that Alaska's English and math standards are tracked nearly exactly with the Common Core, employing the same structure and language with the CCSSO, and nearly all of the CCO being the same as Alaska standards. So that's what he's saying behind the scenes to us as legislators, to the people, to the radio. He's telling all of you guys we're not doing Common Core. But behind the scenes, this is what he's doing. Very frustrating. So let's with all these expensive crosswalks that they brought these people up, let's see what they did in all these meetings. So the Common Core standards say write a narrative. Alaska's standards say use a narrative writing techniques. Okay, that's the big change. Recount versus retell. Ask versus elicit. Know that versus explain why. Design, develop, procedures, steps, and a process. Are these meaningful changes? No, they're not meaningful changes. So in hearing after hearing after hearing, he says these standards have been changed by 50%, even within weeks ago. This is what he means by change. To me, these are not meaningful changes. So it's been very frustrated as a legislator because I know we're doing Common Core. We just need to come out and just say it. Alaska's first grade English language arts standards are identical word for word. We've compared all of them. Dr. Barbara Haney is amazing, you guys. I'm going to put a plug in for her blogspot, 147 degrees west.blogspot.com. She puts all the controversial stuff that I won't even talk about on there, but it's a really intriguing. She's like an encyclopedia. She's hard to follow, but she's just very, very, very intelligent. I say she has a PhD in the Common Core, but she compared them word for word. Last year, I did help get a prohibition of spending money on the Common Core. I never wanted to have to get all the people involved. You elected us to go do the work of the people. So this is something